So here we are back in the Revit program, and we're talking about refining and changing. And I'm going to show you how you can refine and change things fairly easy. I showed you before a little bit about how you can move furniture around. The best place to move or change anything is always in the level 1 first floor plan view. Click on it. Anytime something's highlighted, you know that that's what's going to move. And you can change and move it anywhere you like. You can even, using the modify at the top, rotate something, which is how I got these on an angle in the first place. And it uses the angles. And it shows you exactly what angle it'll be turned to. I kind of like it the way it is, so I'm going to leave it. But, if I wanted to make my bathroom bigger, because I realized as I was walking through it that it just isn't quite big enough, you can click on a wall and either click and drag it, and if you notice it extends the other wall above. I'm going to click it back. Or, my favorite is to use the arrow keys, because you can get much smaller increments and be precise. Now, another thing that you want to keep in mind as well is the closer you are on something, the even smaller the increments you can move it. It's always one my students forget. Where if you do it way out here and you try to move it, it jumps much bigger spaces. So looking at my design, I realized that I've got a kitchen here. It's great, eat in, breakfast bar, little table. But the dining room's all the way on the other side of the living room. And that doesn't make sense when you got to carry the big old Thanksgiving turkey. So I need to change some spaces around. So what are my options? Well, I can switch the dining area with the living room, but I still have these closets and utility rooms in the way. Yet it creates a nice separation as well, so I'd hate to lose that separation. And it's always nice to have your entrance right by your kitchen, so when you've got an armful of groceries, you can drop them right off. Yet, if you took a right, you'd be in the living room. So I could completely change the design and move this entire shipping container off somewhere else, maybe over here or up above, to have a dining room that's a little closer. I could even rotate it this direction. But I'm not quite sure how I feel about that yet. So another option I could do is click on the wrong thing. I don't want to move the whole floor. Undo button is our friend. We could take this area and flip-flop it down here so that we have room for the dining room table, and the living room could then proceed down here. Now, one thing I like is you can always click on a component, and I like to just get it out of the way. I want to be able to see the actual plan without having to worry about clicking on furniture accidentally. So I'm going to put my living room out in the front yard. Next thing I'm going to do is move this wall and flip it. And check it out. We now have it on the other side. I'm going to need to reinsert the wall. And I picked for this center wall is a brick wall. However, I just picked the wrong size. Let's go back to wall. I want generic 4-inch brick. And it's going to snap to the ends. Modify, do it again. And I won't let me draw a wall. There we go. I'm also going to draw a wall in the middle so that I can put my door back in for a coat closet. Now, did I go far enough? That is the question. Well, this is a cabinet that I had originally had in the kitchen, but I don't think we need it anymore. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete it. Now, click on your dining room table and it fits. Okay, so now I think this little table could be a little redundant. So let's get rid of that. You can also use the delete button if you prefer. Now I'm thinking this is a nice open space. We could even rotate the so you can click on it. You can also use the delete button, which is wonderful. A little quicker than the right click every time. And now I think I might want to rotate this a little bit. And just like in Word or some of the other programs, if you hold the control button down, you can pick more than one thing. So what I like to do is rotate all of this. I'm going to start at a 0 point, and I want to rotate it up 90 degrees. Which hopefully will be right. There. And if you notice, it didn't quite pick the under cabinets. So I'm going to rotate those too. And you want to make sure you rotate it in the same direction. And you get the gist. And then move them so that they work. Big thing you want to keep in mind is that you need to have 3 feet of walk space in any hallway. A little bit straighter. Oh, it's even worse. And then maybe we move the living room down here. It's much easier to rotate things when they're out here. It'll snap to the 90 degree. So again, we're going to designate space by furniture, yet we're not using walls to designate space. We are a little bit here, just to give some room division. But no one ever said you had to put walls enclosing a space. Okay? So in a few minutes, I've changed the entire layout of my house. So don't be afraid to adjust, to change, to refine, to evaluate, and to edit. And by the time you're done with all this, to the last step, which is solution.